What we'll see more of at the moment with the AI legislation, it seems more around outcome-based, deterministic direction of travel on what you're being told by the AI. So outcomes, you will put data in, AI will do some concluding and reasoning, and what you then can't just outsource to the AI is the decision-making factor. So there's a level of, as you can see on the screen here, from prohibited to high risk to risk and minimal risk around what, not that you're using AI, so don't be wrong about or think about it saying you cannot use AI. It's more a scale of you can use AI, but how much you use AI for to determine outcomes of certain conditions and certain things. And as you can see on the screen here, some of it so what's prohibited, banned outright, is use of surveillance and emotion recognition in employees, and social scoring and subliminal manipulation, so like coercion kind of element of it, trying to use AI to get someone to do something that might not be in their interest.
Yeah.
Or to determine something around someone's emotional state in work, right? And that's like totally fully prohibited. And if you look down at the high risk ones, so looking at how they're being used across specific sectors and businesses and in certain situations around providing oversight. So back to my earlier point around outcome, deterministic, setting the direction of travel, there needs to be and it reminds me, without sort of changing speech too quickly, it reminds me of, can't remember when it came in, but it was post-2008, and they brought something, especially in the UK, that was referred to as the senior managers regime.
Yeah.
That basically meant if you've got a C-level or VP level job, you can't outsource all responsibility for something that happens within your organisation and your team. And we saw some fines on this, on some failings within certain large company IT teams where the CIO, not only did the company get a fine from the regulator, the CIO personally got a fine from the regulator for failing to act or control the program of which was in their remit in a fashion, right? So what it meant is that the roles that are under the senior manager regime, which is like the C-suite, etc., and a bit more, they can't go, I wasn't aware. But if it happened in their team, there's a potential they're personally liable. They must be aware. They must have governance. They must have oversight. The reason I bring that up is it just reminds me very much of that, in the fact that whereas you've got the C-suite that were a senior manager regime and regulated, it's saying here that you're responsible for the AI. So thus you are all, as taking the outcome of AI, you almost all become like a senior manager that has to be responsible and view and be in the loop to ensure that the AI isn't deciding stuff in your organisation or your teams and your department's behalf without you having that oversight. So it's almost like, not for senior manager regime makes you personally liable, right? So I'm not saying that's extending, but the sentiment of being responsible for something else that's calling the direction of travel is absolutely department's behalf without you having that oversight. So it's almost like, not for senior manager regime makes you personally liable, right? So I'm not saying that's extending, but the sentiment of being responsible for something else that's calling the direction of travel is absolutely.
Essentially, if you were a people manager and you had a person working for you that acted irresponsibly, you would have some responsibility to that action by your employee. And look, I love the analogy because I think it's exactly the same thing. If you are using AI to do work that you're responsible for, that agent, that set of agents, that agentic workflow is, at the end of the day, your employee, right? You're responsible for managing it, for what they do, for the decisions that get made, et cetera. And I think maybe that helps people have a framework to think about, really at the end of the day, how to apply this regulation.